Hi, welcome to this tutorial on validity. Meet Kristin. Kristin is a very intelligent young graduate student. She is majored in exercise science and she just added counseling to her major because she had many friends coming to her talking with her about their problems and she loved to help people. She wants to help people in a way that's very effective. And so she's excited about her research course, but she has many questions on her mind about how to design a great research study and select the right instrument. Although Kristin had many questions in mind, she knew her first step was to identify her research topic. Since many friends came to her with questions about relationships, she had begun to study attachment theory and how attachment theory explained the four different relational styles. And she knew that was one thing she wanted to research. She also read a dissertation from one of her professors, Dr. Kirk, and this dissertation investigated the link between mental health stigma in religious communities and religiosity. And she remembered Dr. Kirk saying that as religiosity increased, stigma increased too. Kristin was fascinated by this, and so she wanted to study that too. She read Dr. Knight's book, Redeeming Attachment, as well, and learned more about attachment to God. And as a person of faith, these two topics were near and dear to her heart. So in her primary circle was the subject of attachment. And then in another overlapping circle was religiosity. And another overlapping circle included God attachment. Now that she had her topic in mind, she went through the research and found a gap, an area where more information was needed that she could address in her study. And her next step was to find a research instrument. She wanted to find an instrument that was psychometrically sound, valid and reliable, and quantitative to measure attachment. Kristin started by asking her research coach, what is validity? She found out that validity addresses whether a test measures what it sets out to measure. As my colleague Dr. Rockinson Zapke likes to say, validity can be represented by a target. And where you see the arrow hitting the target, it's very accurate. And so validity deals with accuracy. This is a good representation of a valid measure. Kristin recalled reading about the different types of validity in her research study guide. She learned that content validity is also called face validity, and that represents whether an assessment appears to measure what it sets out to measure. In Dr. Kirk's dissertation, she found a link identifying where the assessment that Dr. Kirk used was located. It was called the Day's Mental Illness Stigma Scale. And one of the items on that scale is there are effective medications for mental illness that allow people to return to normal and productive lives. This item measures treatability, and it's measured on a Likert type scale from 1 completely disagree to 7 completely agree. And one could say that this measure appears to have face validity as it appears to measure what it sets out to measure. One good metaphor for face validity is a mirror, because a mirror reflects the face that gazes into it. And so it is the same way with the face validity of an assessment. If the assessment appears to reflect what it is supposed to measure, then we would say it has face validity. Another subtype of validity is called predictive validity. Predictive validity evaluates how well an assessment predicts future performance. For example, with the adult attachment interview, an assessment that includes a semi-structured interview with both qualitative and quantitative virtues, where an interviewer asks a participant, what are 5 adjectives you would use to describe your childhood relationship with your mother? Among many other questions. The trained raters or coders then assess the transcript of the interview, seeking to quantify the qualitative information in order to obtain an attachment classification. Participants are then assigned one of 4 attachment styles, and the adult attachment interview has 70 to 80% accuracy in predicting a mother's infant's attachment classification in the strange situation. This is pretty exciting when it comes to inferential statistics, and Kristin was excited to use such a gold standard instrument with her research proposal. In summary, validity measures whether or not an assessment measures what it sets out to measure and involves accuracy. It's represented well by a target. There are various types of validity. Two discussed here are predictive validity and face validity. Face validity is represented by a mirror and examines whether or not an assessment measures what it appears to measure, where predictive validity is represented by the crystal ball, looking at the accuracy at which an assessment can predict other outcomes in the future. For more information on different types of validity, see Research Methods and Program Evaluation, Key Concepts, a Study Guide by Knight and Tetro. It's available at www.konapublishing.com. Thank you.